Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 7, Knowledge of the Absolute, text number 2 onwards. So Krishna is talking, going to give the knowledge of the Absolute, or means knowledge of himself to Arjuna. So in the first verse, Krishna said, Maya asak manaha partha yogam yunjan madashraya sansyam samagram mam yatha gyasasi tatshana. Means now hear, O son of Pritha, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. And now he says, Jnanam teha am savijnanam idam vakshyami asheshatah yajnatva bhuyo anyaj gyatavayam avashishyate. I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to be known. So, phenomenal knowledge is the gyan or theoretical, and numinous means the practical knowledge. So, this being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. So, Bhagavad Gita, in these 700 verses, and I forgot how many verses that Krishna spoke out of 700, because Arjun spoke, Dhritarashtra spoke one, Sanjay spoke few verses. So in these verses, Krishna has given everything, the whole knowledge, everything. That's why he said, now this being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. There's nothing else that you need to know. And this is the only scripture where Krishna personally, first of all, is giving this knowledge, and he's saying, after this, you don't need to know anything. Of course, the details are different thing. Details of bhakti are different. That like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how he performed bhakti, that is different. But bhakti has to be performed. That is the topmost knowledge. Complete knowledge includes knowledge of the phenomenal world, the spirit behind it, and the source of both of them. This is transcendental knowledge. The Lord wants to explain the above mentioned system of knowledge because Arjun is Krishna's confidential devotee and friend. In the beginning of the fourth chapter, this explanation was given by the Lord, and it's again confirmed herein. Complete knowledge can be achieved only by the devotee of the Lord in disciplic succession directly from the Lord. Therefore, one should be intelligent enough to know the source of all knowledge, who is the cause of all causes, and the only object for meditation in all types of yoga practice. So one should be intelligent enough to know the source of all knowledge, who's the cause of all causes, and the only object of meditation for meditation. So that is where the intelligence comes in. It's not like, oh, I found a guru and I just like him and I cannot live without him, and whatever he says, whatever he does is the supreme, is the topmost for me. No, it has to be backed up by scriptures and sadhus. So we don't just assume or accept any person as guru. So we have to test that person. Is he coming in disciplic succession? Is it whatever he is saying? Is it according to the scriptures, or he's just making up his own philosophy? And the only object for meditation is Krishna. There's nobody else one should meditate upon. Of course, there's so many paths, so many sects. They say, "Oh, meditate upon light, meditate on point, meditate on void." Of course, that's also um, it's part of Krishna because they are meditating on sort of Brahm Jyoti, but it's not the ultimate knowledge. And well, and in their defense, we can say that okay, at least they're meditating on Brahm Jyoti, so their level is only to that. I mean, they are eligible for only that level, so that's okay from their viewpoint. But one should understand that's not the ultimate from scripture, according to scriptures. When the cause of all causes becomes known, then everything knowable becomes known, and nothing remains unknown. So that was the Vedas say, "Kasmin nu bhagavo vigyate sarvam idam vigyatam bhavati." Bhavati iti means if one knows Krishna, he knows everything. Because first of all, Krishna is the source of all knowledge. He is the cause of all causes, and he is the object for meditation. So one who knows Krishna knows everything. Text 3. So how many people get to know Krishna? Manushyanam sahasreshu kashid yatati siddhai yattamapi siddhanam kashin mambeti tatvataha. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection. And out of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. So in fourth chapter, Krishna did say, one who knows in truth my appearance and my pastimes, he comes back to me. He does not take birth again. And here Krishna says, out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection. And out of thousands of those who are endeavoring, who are trying to achieve perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. Well, then the question arises that it's so difficult to know Krishna in truth. Why should one try for it even then? Then why should one? It's so difficult. Krishna himself said, Manushyanam sahasreshu. Well, there is a reason for this shloka. The reason is, as I had mentioned earlier, chapter 1 through 6 is Karma Yoga. Chapter 7 through 12 is Bhakti Yoga. Chapter 13 through 18 is Sankhya or Jnana Yoga. So this shloka appears towards the beginning of 7th chapter. So means the Karma Yoga part, some overlap is still there. So now looking back at the shloka, out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection. So Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga is done by people on their own, according to their own capability. They endeavor themselves. And of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. It is for people who are trying to follow Karma Yoga path or Jnana Yoga path. And Hatha Yoga is also part of Karma Yoga. This is not for Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga, Krishna says clearly in 10th chapter. One who is serving me with love and devotion, I give him the knowledge by which he comes to me. Bhakti Yoga, one makes progress by surrender. He does not say, I'm going to make progress based on my qualifications or based on my capabilities. Bhakti Yoga, one does not make progress like that. Bhakti Yoga, one makes progress by surrendering unto Krishna, by being more humble and meek, and waiting for mercy of Krishna, mercy of Guru. Then he makes progress. So yes, for Karma Yogi, Jnana Yogi, Hatha Yogi, those who are trying on their own, hardly anybody knows Krishna in truth. But among Bhakti Yogis, because they are very dear to Krishna, Krishna gives them the knowledge. They say we don't have knowledge. Bhakti devotees, they say we don't have any knowledge. Krishna gives them the knowledge by which they achieve him. So that's the difference between Bhakti Yoga and Karma Yoga. Purport. There are various grades of men, and out of many thousands, one may be sufficiently interested in transcendental realization to try to know what is self, what is his body, what's the absolute truth. Generally, mankind is simply engaged in animal propensities, namely eating, sleeping, defending, and mating. and hardly anyone is interested in transcendental knowledge. The first 6 chapters of the Gita are meant for those who are interested in transcendental knowledge, in understanding the self, the super self, and the process of realization by Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and discrimination of the self from matter. However, Krishna can be known only by persons who are in Krishna consciousness. Other transcendentalists may achieve impersonal Brahman realization, for this is easier than understanding Krishna. Although people say bhakti is easy process, it's a very easy path. They they say it's so easy. I don't think it's very difficult path. But here Prabhupada writing, impersonal Brahman realization is easier than understanding Krishna. Understanding Krishna is not that easy. It's not a child's play. And then engaging oneself fully, completely, thoroughly, purely in the service of Krishna, it's uh, another side of the coin, another side of the story. It's not that easy. Bhakti is not at all easy. Of course, it looks easy, and the results are so huge, so humongous that one says, "Oh, I didn't even do that much of effort, and the results are amazing." Well, those results are because of the mercy of Guru and Krishna, not because of our own doing anything. But bhakti itself is very difficult, especially when it comes to surrender part. That's the most difficult thing to do because our egos are so high, we don't want to surrender. And bhakti begins with surrender. Other transcendentalists may achieve impersonal Brahman realization, for this is easier than understanding Krishna. Krishna is a supreme person, but at the same time, he is beyond the knowledge of Brahman and Paramatma. The yogis and jnanis are confused in their attempts to understand Krishna. Although the greatest of impersonalists, Sripad Shankaracharya, has admitted in his Gita's commentary that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, his followers still do not accept Krishna as such, for it's very difficult to know Krishna, even though one has transcendental realization of impersonal Brahman. So even if somebody has achieved the status of Brahman realization, it's very difficult to know Krishna. With Krishna being the absolute truth, not just the absolute, supreme absolute truth. All the contradictions are in him because he's the absolute truth. Everything rests in him, everything comes from him. So that's when it becomes very confusing. Who is Krishna? Just like, to give you an example, Krishna in Vrindavan, he lifted Govardhan Hill. He lifted Govardhan Hill when he was 7 years old, and he kept it on the tip of his little pinky finger for 7 days and 7 nights. And Govardhan Hill himself expanded so much because he was touched by Krishna and because of love for Krishna. He expanded so much that the all Brajvasis, along with their cows and the cattle, they were standing under the Govardhan Hill for 7 days, 7 nights. And nobody felt any hunger. Nobody ate anything for 7 days, 7 nights. They were all standing there and looking at Krishna, trying to relish his beauty. But same Krishna, I mean, maybe a year before, Govardhan Leela happened day after Diwali. On the day of Diwali happened this Leela of Damodar. So maybe it was a year before or 2 years before, same Krishna, and he was running around and being afraid of the stick in the hand of Mother Yashoda. So this is what bewilders people. How is it possible? One hand he is running around scared, really scared. He wasn't acting like he was scared. He was really scared. He was crying crying, and so the kajal, his kajal that was in his eyes, it was coming down with the tears on his cheeks. And same Krishna, he can lift Govardhan Hill for 7 days and 7 nights, and nothing, no problem at all for him. So this is what bewilders Gyanis, because they're trying to understand Krishna by their own capabilities, by their own mental power. They can't do that. But those who have, that's what Brahma Samhita say, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena, Santa Sadev Hirdesha Vilokayandi. Those whose eyes are smeared with the ointment of love, not knowledge, not logic, not anything else. Just with the ointment of love, they can see Krishna 24 hours a day. Only they can understand Krishna. And what is this ointment of love? Where do we get this ointment of love? This ointment of love is our humble mood of service. Because service cannot happen without love. There is no selfishness. There cannot be any selfishness in service. If there is any selfishness, then that is business. It's not love. Love means to give. Love means to serve. So when that mood is there, for Krishna's service, somebody is ready to do anything. To serve Krishna, to serve Krishna's devotees, to serve Krishna's creation. Then when Krishna sees that mood in the heart, then he starts giving the knowledge about himself, about everything that Prabhupada is mentioning. So that ointment of love, that ointment of service to please Krishna. Service also means if I want to serve somebody, means I want to know what he likes and I should please him. I should try to make him happy with my service. That is service. That is service out of love. So that is what we have to achieve. So, but others, Gyanis and Karmis, they cannot understand all this because they are trying to approach Krishna based on their expectations, based on their desires, which Krishna will never like it. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, the primeval Lord Govinda. Brahma Samhita says, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Nadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. It's very difficult for the non-devotees to know him. Although non-devotees declare that the path of bhakti or devotional service is very easy, they cannot practice it. If the path of bhakti is so easy as a non-devotees class of men proclaim, then why do they take up the difficult path? Actually, the path of bhakti is not easy. The so-called path of bhakti practiced by unauthorized persons without knowledge of bhakti may be easy. But when it is practiced factually according to the rules and regulations, the speculative scholars and philosophers fall away from the path. So speculative scholars and philosophers, those who are trying to understand Krishna through by studying of scriptures, they fall away. Srila Rupa Goswami writes in his Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, Shruti Smriti Purana Adi, Pancharatra Vidimina, Ekantaki Harera Bhaktir Utpateva Kalpate. Devotional service of the Lord that ignores the authorized Vedic literatures like the Upanishads, Puranas, and Narad Pancharatra is simply an unnecessary disturbance in society. So bhakti has to be done, but not by our concocted ideas, by following the scriptures. That is real bhakti. It's not possible for the Brahman realized impersonalist or the Paramatma realized yogi to understand Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as a son of Mother Yashoda or the charioteer of Arjuna. So they cannot understand why Krishna does whatever he does. Even the great demigods are sometimes confused about Krishna. Muyanti yata surya. No one knows me as I am. Mam tu vedna kashin. The Lord says. And if one does know him, then some Mahatma Sudurlabha. Such a great soul is very rare. Therefore, great scholar, therefore, unless one practices devotion service to the Lord, one cannot know Krishna as he is, tatvata, even though one is a great scholar or philosopher. So, unless one practices devotional service to the Lord. Now, what is the devotional service? How do we practice? The 10 processes. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pad Sevanam, Archanam Vandanam, Dasyam Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. So, any of the 9, all of 9, few of 9, whatever we can do, that's devotional service. But at the same time, like Shravanam, when we are hearing means reading also is part of hearing. So the what should be the mood? What should be the consciousness when we are performing this activity? The consciousness should be it's for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna. It's not for my pleasure. Again, the humility. When the humility is there, then we think of others or Krishna's or Guru's pleasure. Humility is not there, then we think of our own pleasure. Do I like it when I do it? Otherwise, give it up. So then it is not bhakti. Then it's a pious activity, but it's not bhakti. So only the pure devotees can know something of the inconceivable transcendental qualities in Krishna, his being the cause of all causes, his omnipotence and opulence, and his wealth, fame, strength, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. Because Krishna is benevolently inclined to his devotees. So that's why Krishna's name is Bhaktavatsal. He's never called Gyani Vatsal or Karmi Vatsal. He is always called as Bhaktavatsal, means he loves his devotees. So much so that he doesn't even love himself that much, as much as he loves his devotees. He is the last word in Brahman realization, and the devotees alone can realize him as he is. Therefore, it is said, Atah Shri Krishna Namadi, na bhaved grayam indriya, sevan mukhe hi jivado, swayam eva sfuratiyada. No one can understand Krishna as he is by the blunt material senses. But he reveals himself to the devotees, being pleased with them for their transcendental, loving service unto him. So simple philosophy is there. He reveals himself to the devotees, being pleased with them for their transcendental loving service unto him. And of course, in the same proportion as they have surrendered unto him. So, more we surrender, more we get to know about Krishna, and more we can engage ourselves in the loving service of Krishna. Now he says, start speaking something about him and his creation. Text 4. Bhumirapo nalo vayu khammano buddhirev cha kariti amme bhinna prakritirashtadha. He says, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Altogether, these 8 constitute my separated material energies. Is there anything beyond these 8 separated energies? Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego. So 5 are gross, 3 are subtle. So Krishna says, all together, they constitute my 8 separated material energies. So everything comes from Krishna. All the energies come from Krishna. He's the source of everything. even the energies that are there to create the material world. The science of God analyzes the constitutional position of God and his diverse energies. Material nature is called Prakriti, or the energy of the Lord in his different Purusha incarnations, expansions, as described in Narad Pancharatra. For material creation, Lord Krishna's plenary expansion assumes three Vishnu. The first one, Mahavishnu, creates a total material energy known as the Mahatattva. The second, Garbhodaksha Vishnu, enters into all the universes to create diversities in each of them. The third, Kshirodaksha Vishnu, is diffused as the all-pervading supersoul in all the universe and is known as Paramatma. So, Krishna has different expansions as Mahavishnu, Garbhodaksha Vishnu, Kshirodaksha Vishnu, and then the Kshirodaksha Vishnu, he pervades further on as Paramatma. He is present even within the atoms. Anyone who knows these three Vishnus can be liberated from material entanglement. So this easiest way to get material entanglement go away. This material world is a temporary manifestation of one of the energies of the Lord. All the activities of the material world are directed by these three Vishnu expansions of Lord Krishna. These Purushas are called incarnations. Generally, one who does not know the science of God, Krishna, assumes that this material world is for the enjoyment of the living entities, and that the living entities are the Purusha, the causes, the controllers, and the enjoyers of the material energy. So, those who do not know who is who, what is what, they claim that this material world is for enjoyment of the living entities. They claim, oh, zindagi na milegi dobara, abhi khao pio jio. But this is not the right philosophy. According to Bhagavad Gita, this atheistic conclusion is false. In the verse under discussion, it is stated that Krishna is the original cause of material manifestation. Srimad Bhagavatam also confirms this. So Bhagavatam, the very first shloka is when Vyasadeva says, Janmadi asya yata. He is the source of everything. Janmadi asya. Okay. The ingredients of the material manifestation are separated energies of the Lord. So everything is an energy actually. So Krishna here says earth, water, fire, air, ether. But when that energy manifests itself as earth, that's when Krishna means the earth. Because earth is easy for us to see. Anything solid in this material world is a transformation of Mother Earth. Nothing else. In the material energy, the principal manifestations are 8, as above mentioned. Out of these, the first 5, namely earth, water, fire, air, sky, are called the 5 gigantic creations or the gross creations, within which the 5 sense objects are included. So 5 senses and 5 sense objects. Oh, I'm sorry. 5 material manifestations and 5 sense objects. They are the manifestations of physical touch, physical sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. So these relate to the 5 material energies: earth, water, fire, air, ether. And material science comprises these 10 items and nothing more. But the other 3 items, namely mind, intelligence, and false ego, are neglected by the materialists. Philosophers who deal with mental activities are also not perfect in knowledge. when they do not know, and not perfect knowledge because they do not know the ultimate source, Krishna. False ego means I am and it is mine. This is false ego. It's not true. So if false ego is there, the real ego must be there also. So what is the real ego? Real ego is when false ego is I am, real ego is I am servant of Krishna. And it is mine, false ego. What is real ego? It's Krishna's. Everything should be used in his service, which constitutes the basic or the principle of material existence, including 10 sense organs for material activities. Intelligence refers to total material creation called the Mahatattva. Therefore, from the 8 separated energies, the Lord are manifest. From the 8 separated energies of the Lord are manifest the 24 elements of the material world, which are the subject matter of Sankhya atheistic philosophy. They're originally offshoots from Krishna's energies and are separated from him. But atheistic Sankhya philosophers with a poor fund of knowledge do not know that Krishna is the cause of all causes. The subject matter for discussion in the Sankhya philosophy is only the manifestation of external energy of Krishna, as it is described in the Bhagavad Gita. So, whatever we see in the material world is just a manifestation of external energy of Krishna. We see earth or different transformations of earth, like anything solid is transformation of earth. So when we see that, we should really immediately remember Krishna because it comes from Krishna. Text 5. Now the 8 material elements Krishna counted. Now further he goes. Aparyamitastvanyam prakritim vidhi me param jivbhutam mahabaho yayedam dharite jagat. Besides these, mighty armed Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mind which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature. So now the living entities, anything material comes from Krishna. What about the living entities who are spiritually, spiritual souls? So Krishna here says, they are also my energy. They also come from me. So there is nothing besides Krishna in the material world or spiritual world. There's nothing outside Krishna. It's just we have to have the eyes of consciousness to see it. Here it is clearly mentioned that living entities belong to the superior nature or energy of the Supreme Lord. The inferior energy is matter manifested in different elements, namely earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego. Both forms of material nature, namely gross, earth, etc., and subtle, mind, etc., are products of the inferior energy. So they're not the product of superior energy, inferior energy. The living entities who are exploiting these inferior energies for different purposes are the superior energy of the Supreme Lord. And it's due to this energy that the entire material world functions. So the living entities were exploiting these inferior energies for different purposes. So their one purpose, which is common among all of them, is I am the proprietor, I'm the controller, I'm the enjoyer of everything that I see. Under false ego, the living entities are trying to exploit these inferior energies. Exploit. They're not using it. If they were using it, they would have used it in the service of Krishna. And it is due to this energy that the entire material world functions. It's only functioning because of presence of so many souls in here. The cosmic manifestation has no power to act unless it is moved by the spiritual energy, the living entity. Energies are also controlled by the energetic, and therefore the living entities are always controlled by the Lord. They have no independent existence. They're never equally powerful as unintelligent men think. The distinction between the living entities and the Lord is described in Srimad Bhagavatam as follows. So the living entity, they're trying to enjoy, uh, trying to control this material energy. Why? Because we are part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna is the original controller, proprietor, enjoyer of everything. Since we are part and parcel of Krishna, we also try to be the enjoyer, proprietor, and controller. But sooner or later, we find out we are not. We are not up to the mark. But still, we try to control. They have, means a living entity, they have no independent existence. They're never equally powerful as unintelligent men think. So Bhagavatam says, O Supreme Eternal, if the embodied living entities were eternal and all pervading like you, then they would not be under your control. So we are under his control because we are not as powerful as he is. But if the living entities are accepted as minute energies of your lordship, then they are at once subjected to your supreme control. Therefore, real liberation entails surrender by the living entities to your control, and that surrender will make them happy. In the constitutional position, only can they be controllers. Therefore, men with limited knowledge who advocate the monastic theory that God and living entities are equal in all respect are actually guided by a faulty and polluted opinion. So we are never equal to Krishna. We can never become equal to Krishna. Only thing we can do is become better than Krishna. In terms of one can become father of Krishna, one can become mother of Krishna. So that's a better position compared to I want to be God, which we cannot be. The Supreme Lord Krishna is the only controller, and all living entities are controlled by him. These living entities are his superior energy because the quality of their existence is one and same with the Supreme. But they're never equal to the Lord in quantity of power. While exploiting the gross and subtle inferior energies matter, the superior energy, living entity, forgets his real spiritual mind and intelligence. This forgetfulness is due to the influence of matter upon the living entity. So while we are trying to enjoy, trying to abuse these natural resources, we forget that we have a real spiritual mind and intelligence. This forgetfulness is due to the influence of matter upon the living entity. But when the living entity becomes free from the influence of the illusory material energy, he attains a stage called mukti or liberation. So when the living entity becomes free from the influence of Maya, is it easy to get out of the influence of Maya? No, Krishna himself says, Devi Hiesha Gunamai Maya Duratya. It's very difficult to overcome Maya. The false ego, under the influence of material illusion, thinks I am matter and material acquisitions are mine. His actual position is realized when he is liberated from all material ideas, including the conception of his becoming one in all respects with God. Therefore, one may conclude that Gita confirms the living entity to be only one of the multi agencies of Krishna. And when this energy is freed from material contamination, it becomes fully Krishna consciousness or liberated. So I think I'll stop here. See, anybody has any question or comment? कुछ ज्यादा ही फिलॉसफी हो गई लग रहा.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, after listening to this, and you also said that bhakti is difficult as we need to surrender also. So, Prabhuji, other than praying to Krishna, is there any external factor which we can use so that we can advance or at least follow basic principles of bhakti? Like, like getting blessings of other devotees or Guru or Vaishnavas, how does it help?
Well, we get the blessings. The real blessings is when we try to follow the mood of Guru and the Vaishnavas, especially like we all followers of Srila Prabhupada. So when we try to follow his mood was of preaching, his mood was of compassion for the fallen souls. So we try to give that compassion to others. We try to develop it first and give it to others. So we try to engage them in service of Krishna. We try to uh, bring them to the knowledge that we are not this body, we are servants of Krishna. So when we do that, that is a real blessing that we get from Guru or the Vaishnavas. Because if some mission is very close to their heart and somebody helps in that mission, so of course they'll give them lots of blessings. So blessings are not, and of course they are there at the lotus feet of such people also. But real blessings are when we follow the instructions or when we try to please their heart by our service attitude. Understanding what they really want, not what we want.
Okay, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I
Thank you.
thought just what we see, like just asking some Vaishnava or devotee, like, please bless me so that I can progress. So, Prabhuji, does it work or it works as you explained, like by following the instruction we get blessing?
No, that also works, of course. If a pure devotee just, I mean, from his heart, if he's saying something, it will definitely take effect. Definitely. But we have to again know what's the real meaning of blessings. Well, how to really achieve blessings. Because there are many devotees of Srila Prabhupada who hardly met Prabhupada. Because whenever Prabhupada came to America, they were busy some other temple serving, so they could hardly go and meet Prabhupada. But since they were engaged in serving Prabhupada's mission, they got full blessings of Prabhupada. So that is more important.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Like I was on Facebook and I saw Gunagrahi Maharaj left his body this morning at around 3:55 a.m. He was wonderful, very humble Maharaj, very humble soul from America. And look at it. I mean, he had served Prabhupada so much throughout all these years. The last moment, Prabhupada took him to Vrindavan, and this is where he left his body, amongst so many Maharajas, so many devotees sitting there and chanting for him. So this is the real blessings of Prabhupada.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Yes.
Thank you, Prabhupada. So, any other question or comment? So should we stop here?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you very much for this wonderful class.
Thank you, Guru Vanna Mataji. Long time no see.
Yes, I was trying to come to the class, but somehow I got engaged here and there. Today, luckily, I'm here at home. I'm just cooking simultaneously. I'm hearing your lecture, Prabhuji.
Oh, thank you, Mata. Chalo, you all have a wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare Krishna.